YouTube, and also Instagram, YouTube. I guess the other one would be Facebook or whatever. That's why when you're training people, this is a key thing, and it always happens out here. You need to be set up. You can't go live and then decide to do something different, because whatever you fail at, you're going to do it live, so the whole world gets to see it. So if you're going to move a chair need to be moved but prior. This goes back to the concept that I try to teach you all, preliminary. Remember last week I talked about preliminary? Yes, sir. See, we are fashioned, and we have been programmed to respond when there's a situation. We've never been trained to be prepared with models of solution before there's a situation. Can I make it plain? You ever worked in a place and there was a problem, but somebody came downstairs and it was a problem for you, but it was just an opportunity for them? It's the same thing. So to generate that, I see one of the brainiacs here that's getting ready to go to school. You're excited? She's getting ready to go to college, first year in college. One is getting in college, and one is fighting in college, and one is having to fight the college to say, this is my last year. So there's always a battle. And this takes us right into the lesson. I always talk about today's brick sets up tomorrow's foundation. I've been dealing with Can You See Past Hope? Earlier in the Greenville campus, we talked about the reimmersion of the five foolish and how that they are so prevalent. And it goes back to the preliminary work. The five wise did the necessary prep work. And I'm going to ask you, are you willing to do the necessary prep work? Because here's what's going to happen before you use your gift. Your gift, and this is an old school word, will have to be circumcised in order for the gift. So there has to be a cutting away. And so we got to echo, we need to bring that in. But so what happens is everybody want to live successful. But very few people want to work through the process of what it takes to be successful. You don't want successful to be a moment in your life, and this is why you've always heard me say, most people live their lives through events. They don't live their life through a lifestyle. So a person will do more for an event that is a one-timer than they will in preparing for the rest of their life. So if it's a wedding, if it's an event, if it's moving here, getting another job here, if it's getting promoted here, we go through and we do all of these levels of celebration. But how much do we do to maintain and sustain the very thing that we're excited about? Which leads me to this phase. Your next move, my next move, is not going to come or be successful because of how much excitement I have about it. I know I have some Cowboy fans here. And I know Stephen A. Smith said that, they need to suspend Michael Irvin because Michael Irvin is over-exaggerating the Cowboys again. And so they have this thing going back, and they do it to create media hype. Okay? So I say to any person, hype will not win the game. Emotions will not win the game. Even with injured players, if you are determined, you can still win the game. Now, I'm going to ask everybody, you might need to change who you root for. Whether you Pittsburgh, whether you Dallas, whether you Philadelphia Eagles, whether you Las Vegas Raiders, whether you Carolina Panthers. Because, no, listen, if your team is not structured to make it to the finish line, you're going to be another dissatisfied person. Now watch this. Because they always put the wins and losses on the back of one person. And everybody says, if we had so-and-so, if we'd have kept so-and-so, if we'd have did, that's not the reality. The reality is the clock starts. Will you have the most points at the end? You can talk about it. Boy, ain't nobody with me on that. You can talk about all the situations in the world. You can dance around. You can have all the paraphernalia you want. But when the clock strikes, either you won the game or lost. That's how you're going to have to start seeing your life. There you go. You live and you live to learn. So you got to quit saying and quit talking about the mistakes and the failure, because this is the same thing that happened in Deuteronomy 1:28. They talked about all the excitement of going until they saw what they had to do in order to get what they wanted. You see how you lost your momentum? You were pumped to go. At the stadium doing the, boy, I started talking about y'all teams. Y'all done turned me off. Folk ain't raised there. They like, I hate him. That's why I don't have a team. I look at strategy now. I look at, are you prepared? I look at, you can start out high and hyped and all of that, but can you, anybody? Because your career doesn't, see, listen, you got to stop riding on one person. You got to build the team. See, whether you're the Arizona Cardinals, I think they, what do they call themselves now? Is they the Arizona Cardinals? Or is Arizona Cardinals, unless you, Seattle, you know, all these, and look, everybody can call everybody name but Dallas. Hey, Dallas folk ain't said nothing, but I must gotta, ain't nobody want to go with me now. That must be the core of the people here. Mother Coleman, who we rooting for? We just watching TV, ain't we? Just looking at the TV, just see people run up and down the field. Soap operas, okay. Do they still have Guiding Light, The World Turns? General Hospital, they still have those? Got about 3 left, okay. Everybody else done died off, okay. I'm serious, because see, here's the thing. Building the correct habits are critical. We build too much hype. Remember, we had a conversation. Man told me I could fix the pipe. I had not even thought about digging in the ground. But because you knew the process. So building the correct habits are critical. Now let me tell you where they fail. Because I had to study this, because I kept saying, Lord, okay, why do I keep going back to this? Here's what happens. No matter what you say that you want, it depends on what's in your heart and what your spirit is set on. And many people have failed and lost. I look at the young lady, she's excited to go to school, but when you hit the tough spots, because they're going to be there, and they're going to come out of nowhere. You get the job, they make you all these promises, and this is the way it's going to be, and you get in there and you're about to faint. So you have to understand doing the preliminary work, and we have to understand it depends. The difference is it depends on how your heart is set. If you want to win, you're going to have to do what winners do, which means you're going to have to gather information outside of your comfort zone. This is why the details and school is so important. School teaches you the corners of life that you wouldn't learn in the midst of life. So school teaches you angles that have been tested and tried. But if you don't know those angles, then you can't use them. If you don't know what's coming, then you have to use what you know. And what you know, and I don't have my BlackBerry, what you know don't fit where you at. Because I still have the BlackBerry phone. But it don't fit on no network. Do I know? It's probably in my bag, yeah, if y'all want to get it. I carry it with me now. And people are like, where you going with that black phone? Because, back then I thought I was cool when I had my little BlackBerry. You probably have to dig in my bag. It's down in one of those pockets on the inside. And so I carry it now because where I was, it's a reminder I'm no longer there. And what I believed in and what I thought in the common sense era, because here's what people say, common sense should have told them. But see, here's the thing, common sense is only the sum of a thing that has already happened. Because what's happening now is different than what was. And you're trying to take something old because of an experience. And your experience don't deal with your reality. Yeah, okay, let me break that down. Y'all look like y'all stuck. Their experience where they came from a bad place and they're just sitting there expecting to be in a new place, but they don't have the mind of the new place, neither are they prepared to be in a new place. Somebody in your life is still coming up with a BlackBerry when we're in an Android and Apple world. You ever seen a BlackBerry back then? See, this is why I say we need to use the cameras, because we need to show. So you never seen a BlackBerry? Child, let me tell you about the BlackBerry. This was the coolest phone back in the day. You thought you was a business person when you had you sitting there. Yeah, you sitting there. Yeah, and my granddaughter's like, my God, what is this was the coolest phone. This is before you heard of Apple. This is before you had heard of Android. You had a BlackBerry. At Samsung, you had a BlackBerry. And you thought you was hot. Yeah, BlackBerry, that's you go, Motorola. You thought you were hot. And so with this little phone, you thought you was honey. You be talking, hold on. And so some of us are still reaching back because that's our comfort zone. And we've not inquired or acquired any information for where we're going. So I go back to what I said. Building the correct habits are critical. It depends on what your heart is set on. Ask me, what does that mean? What does that mean? Is your heart set on a moment? Or is your heart set on your purpose? This is how people take advantage, because they get you excited about an event. Amen. And an event is a moment in time. Amen. What many people have not built is a lifestyle that now can carry on. So if you pump for the event, everything you have, fine, foolish, is wrapped up in this event. The bridegroom is coming. But are you prepared to go the distance with the bridegroom? So if you're going to go to school, you must start telling yourself now, is not, because the first couple of courses, anybody here I know been to school, it's always easy. You can do those you're in the car at the red light, you can just do all, but that second semester, that second trimester, that second semester, when it starts to get real, and then that third semester is when it gets raw. Yeah, it gets raw, because now where you were spending 15 minutes, you have to spend 5 hours. But see, here's the whole point. Do you have the room for the 5 hours to learn? So if you do not stretch your peripheral vision, but you can't spread your peripheral vision if you're stuck in your now. See, if you're busy, you're probably not productive. That didn't go over well. Because sometimes you're busy doing what you want to do and not what you need to do. So you're busy. Can I give you another analysis? Because if you're busy, you're probably responding to something that didn't have nothing to do with you. I said on the other campus is that then this is why some people never have any abundance in their life, because they only have what they need, But there's another word in the Bible that talks about your desires. So if you're always focused on what you need, you're never going to have enough to fulfill your desire, because your desires are gonna require a greater level of concentration than your needs. You're not. Let me make it plain, because the way you live in an apartment is not how you can live in a house. Because you don't cut the grass in the apartment, and you don't fix the plumbing in the apartment. If you're staying in a hotel, if there's a problem, you pick up the phone. If you are going to want a house, you're going to have to find some people who can do what they didn't do so you can go where you need to be. Because a house, you can't pick up the phone and call. You're going to have to pay somebody. And if you don't have the bandwidth to pay, because now they all have service charge. They just used to come. But now it's a $75, $150 service charge just to show up. And if you are only getting what you need, then when you have an emergency, you can't fix nothing. See, you can purchase the car, but can you keep up the maintenance? You can purchase the house, but can you paint it? Because every house, they say, needs to be painted every 5 to 7 years. Inside, hey boy, ain't nobody. But if you're only working a job that takes care of your needs, then you have nothing to invest in your desires. And the Bible says that he will give you the desires of your what? Heart. So this is why I'm saying it depends on what's in your heart and your spirit is set on. Because they wanted to go to the promised land, but they were not willing to pay the...
Psalms 37 verse 4.
37 verse 4 says...
Delight thyself also in the Lord.
To do what?
Delight thyself also
See,
in the Lord.
first of all, is the Lord happy with you? Because you can't be doing wrong and doing you and please the Lord. And say, God, understand. See, people that say stuff like, most of our churches are messed up. They need to tell the truth. It's mainly our pulpits that's messed up. Because people tell you what you want to hear. And since you got a couple nickels and dimes now, you want to pay for what you hear. You need to pay for what's going to get you moving. Because when people say, well, I just love my pastor. I just love my pastor. I wonder what they're telling you. Because if they're telling you the truth, sometimes you're going to roll your eyes. Because you're going to feel like they're talking about you. Greenville good about it. They'll be like, you were talking about us too. I know you were talking about us. I said, well, why were you listening? That was in Greenwood. We were watching, trying to learn. Then you call us out. Because when I get to Greenville, I'm going to say, okay, Greenville, what did y'all get last night? We watched the program. And let me tell you why I say that. Because if you hear this level of word, and you get excited about this level of word, can I make it plain? Yes. You have done this level of word an injustice. Ask me how and why. Y'all not looking well, like y'all don't want to know. You know why? Number one, you didn't receive it, and number two, you didn't plant it. So if you don't study it, then you heard something that sounded good, but you don't have anything that can move you forward. Does this make sense? And if you plant it in you, watch this. Now you can live past hope. Because now you can focus on process. So instead of looking for the next meal, you're still digesting the meal that you had. Now the meal that you ate and fully ate it now is able to work within your spirit to feed and to clean those pockets and to get your arteries clean, so now your gift can flow freely through you. But if you are constantly trapped in excitement and constantly trapped, now watch this is dangerous, in agreement, because sometimes you need conflict to make you stay focused on your task. And so sometimes conflict shows up to say, you've been praying, but you ain't really been talking to God. You've been wanting, but you're not putting forth the effort. You're trying to figure out something that has already happened and taken place rather than picking up the pieces and move on. You want to sort and keep going through the crime scene instead of preparing for the moving on. Because there's some people, and just like they were more focused, and this is why I think it's Deuteronomy 1:28, when they said our brothers or have this. So who do you let that close? Can I make it plain? There are people that will disturb you, but you really have a choice if you allow it to discourage you. Because if their words can discourage you, it's okay to be disappointed, but it's not okay to be discouraged. Because human nature will disappoint you, but it's a choice, here we go, to be disturbed. Because when you start to go to school, and when you're fighting to stay in school, and when you're fighting to get your certificate, you're going to be, and see, let me talk to the parents. This is where many parents have failed. You don't want your children to be disappointed, because they don't know the difference between being disappointed and discouraged. You cannot stop disappointments. So your sons and your daughters will fail, they will make mistakes, but that's the teaching moment. See, you blow up sometime over a teaching moment. And so you're more focused on the disappointment than you are the discouragement. Because the discouragement now affects the heart and the spirit. That means you take other people's words too closely to your heart so they can poison you at a moment's notice. There's no way in the world you're going to tell me that I'm 2.5 miles away from getting to finishing, and you're going to discourage me with your buck teeth. You're going to discourage me because of your visual sight. Why wouldn't you go check for yourself? Mistake number one. God told you when you get there, go up and possess the land. You always waiting on validation from somebody else to feel good about yourself. Is this making sense? Because I go back to, it depends on what's in the heart and what the spirit is set on. See, this is where now in this month, as we are in the middle of this month, you've got to make a decision. It's time to change direction. And the first direction you got to change is what's taking up your time and you're giving so much attention to. See, down here in the rural area, their job is the biggest thing. Their job is bigger than God. As long as they got a job, look at it, they're all looking at me now, it don't matter. Their job is their Lord. So they can't take no time for God because they got to serve the Lord. But you say God gave it to you, but yet it takes you so much. Now, working in schedules, that's different. But you're more worried about your job, because if you think you got your job, you think you can make it. But let me ask you something. If you didn't have your breath, it wouldn't matter what kind of job you had. So which do you think is more important? That job or that breath? Because you can get another job, but you can't get any more breath. But see, this is what happens when you let other people have so much influence on you, and you don't develop you, and you somewhere stuck. I work for so and so. I work in the office. I got a desk. Okay, lose that breath. The desk was still. Oh, I got AC in my car. Lose that breath. The box you're gonna be in don't have no AC. And now people cremating people, what they call it, the urn that you're gonna be in, it don't have no air in it either. Okay. So what do you think is more important? Yeah, look at that. Oh, y'all want to say that now. But which one you more worried about? Because that's where your heart's at. Yeah, I'm getting ready to close. That's what. If you, I don't know. I gotta make sure I'm down. Are you here on time for God? Or you saying, I'm going to read the scriptures there because I got prayers out there. I need to fertilize my prayer. Yeah. You want a blessing and too ashamed to raise your head to even give God glory. But you'll take the blessing. Oh, I know I'm the Lord's child. Okay. Let that job talking about we're going to start changing and furloughing. Oh, Jesus. But let your breathe. Oh, it ain't nothing. I'm okay. Let's start. Oh, no, it ain't nothing. It ain't okay. See. But which y'all ain't never thought about it like that, have you? You more worried about that job. You better be worried about that breath. And what condition that heart is in. Because you think it won't work without you. They'll have somebody in there tomorrow. So as I close, I say this to you. Remember, everything doesn't deserve a response. And for this next move that you want in your life and that you feel like God has for you, you're going to have to expand your level of information. And let me say this, I got 1 minute left. Because it is impossible to take an old behavior and an old mindset into a new arena and embrace a new opportunity. See, you can move, you can get another job, you can get a promotion, you can get a raise. But if your intellect and your spirit hasn't expanded to the capacity, you can be a virgin, 5 wise, 5 foolish, but you're not equal because you're not pure in your thoughts. What does that mean? I'm more focused on where I've been and what I was comfortable with than where I'm going. Because when you start growing, you have to realize your friends will start to sink. Because maybe you were an eagle among pigeons, and now as you begin to fly, the group you started out with is not the group you're going to end up with. So I'll say this, but again, it is impossible to take an old behavior and an old mindset into a new arena and a new why? Because here's what I'm going to say to you. It will never embrace freedom and opportunity. Now ask me, why is that a danger?
Why is that a danger?
Because we will be just like them, still stuck in struggle and survival. Ask me, why is that a danger?
Why is that a danger?
Then you will never sow seeds. If you're always stuck in struggle and survival, then you will never have enough to sow seeds. And if you can't sow seeds and you don't have land, you can't reap a harvest. So what is that saying? If you're praying for something to God that you need his help with, do you have the capacity for God to deliver what you're asking for? And so in the time that you think is bad, is storms, you're waiting, you're struggling, things are not happening, are you doing the preliminary work? Are you changing your behavior before you start school? Are you going to bed early? Do you have a laptop? Do your kids have one? Do you have the internet? Because if you don't do the preliminary things, you can get there and on day one be behind. And so now you want someone to get all the junk out of you. And you're going to wake up 2.5 semesters later because you failed multiple courses. Because you didn't have the bandwidth in your mind to expand and to release things that can't move you forward. I know that didn't go over well, but I'll see you Tuesday. God bless you. Don't forget, it's on. I don't know if it worked.